Sa lesson na ito, pag-uusapan natin ang iba't ibang applications ng derivative sa business at economics. Applications of the derivative in business and economics, especially on the cost, average cost, and marginal cost functions in productions of products. So how can we apply derivatives in these aspects? We'll talk about first what is total cost functions. It gives the basic relation between the output X and the total cost incurred. Output X, ito yung ating products output. Kung ilan yung ating nagawang products for a certain business. And then, kung ilan naman yung total cost niya, the relationship of this is in the total cost functions. Then this total cost functions is denoted by TC of X. This is the total cost. Broadly, this total cost function is classified into fixed cost at saka variable cost. Itong fixed cost, this include all expenses that remain fixed as output varies. Ano bang halimbawa ng mga fixed cost sa isang business? Halimbawa, meron kang business, let's say, paggawaan ng notebooks or papel. So, yung mga fixed cost dyan, of course, yung una-una, rental, electricity, water bill, mga ganon-ganon. Ano pa? Salary ng mga employee mo. So, yan, mga fixed cost yan. Dahil kahit na wala kang gagawing product, talagang you have to pay for that. So, they are considered fixed cost. Variable cost naman, ito yung mga cost that vary as output varies. So, pag nagdadagdag ka ng mga output or number ng products mo, yung variable cost will also vary. Example, yung mga cost of materials na gagamitin para sa product na yan. So, nagbabari yun, depende kung gaano kadami yung gagawin mo. The more na mas marami kang gagawing products, the more na mas tataas itong variable cost. Then we have itong X and the TC are economic quantities. Therefore, they must be non-negative. So, hindi sila pwede maging negative. So, kung i-graph natin ito, especially itong total cost functions, dapat increasing lang siya dun sa first quadrant or positive side ng X and Y axis. Increasing kasi nga, total cost yan siya. And they must be non-negative. They are economic quantities. Now, we have here different characteristics of the total cost function. First, when nothing is produced, the total cost is either zero or positive. So, dalawa lang yun. Kung wala kang ipaproduce, pwedeng zero ang iyong total cost or pwede ring positive or greater than zero. So, kapag ito ay positive, then its value is the fixed cost of the production. As output increases, total cost increase also. So, habang dumadami yung gagawin mong products, ang yung total cost ay, of course, pataas din ng pataas. First derivative of x must be greater than 0. So, dito na-apply na natin yung derivative dito. The total cost function as production increases to higher levels will tend to rise at an increasing rate. Ultimately, then this cost function will be concave upward. So, ang graph niyan, when we say concave upward, is opening pataas yung graph. So, curve siya na pataas. In that case, yung second derivative test is greater than 0. Greater than 0, then that point is a relative minimum. Because here, we are minimizing. So, kailangan natin yung minimum. Total cost will be minimized, kaya dapat minimum talaga siya. So, the second derivative test must be greater than 0. However, for a certain range of production, as the inputs are more efficiently harnessed, total cost may tend to rise at a decreasing rate so that the curve is concave downward. O yun. Pwede rin naman siya mag-downward yung concavity ng graph. Hindi natin na-discuss noon, but concavity means yung opening ng graph, it's either downward or upward. Kapag downward siya, in this case, magiging maximum yung point doon sa taas niya. After this efficiency reaches its optimum, the curve shifts its concavity upward. So, malalaman natin mamaya kung ano-ano ba yung mga functions na pwede as a total cost function. Kasi meron din namang hindi pwede. We have another function here, the average cost function. Ito ay part pa rin ng total cost function. So, we denoted this as AC of the x or function of x. AC of x equals TC, total cost, divided by the x. Yan yung ating average cost function. And then we have also the marginal cost function. If x units are added to production, then the marginal cost function is this one. So kung na-remember nyo yung formula na to, doon sa ating derivative, this is actually finding the derivative using the limit. And then that is actually our marginal cost function. If this is continuous function, instantaneous rates of change are utilized. So ito na yung formula ng ating derivative. So this is also the derivative of the TC, which is the MC, the marginal cost. So ibig sabihin, pag kinuha natin yung derivative ng ating total cost function, yun yung magiging marginal cost function natin. So ito yan siya. Or simply the derivative of the total cost function. Ito yung formula, pero hindi na natin i-apply yung ganitong formula kasi meron na tayong mga shortcuts paano gawin yung derivative na hindi nagagamit ng limit na to, diba? So, i-remember nyo lang, of course, yung inyong mga lessons on the rules on differentiation. We also have what we call the average variable cost. So, divide lang natin yung variable cost divided by x. And then we have the average fixed cost, AFC of x. We just divide the fixed cost by x. Yun na yung ating formula for the average fixed cost. Now, we have here example number 1 to understand better all of these concepts. For the total cost function, TC equals 5x plus 25. Determine the AC, MC, ABC, and AFC. Then graph the AC and MC together with the total cost function in one set of axes. Yung ating total cost function, 5x plus 25. In this equation, so itong 25 dito, ito yung tinatawag natin na fixed cost. And then yung 5x, yan yung ating variable cost. So parang pwede natin ito ma-relate, halimbawa, dun sa sinasabi ko kanina, sa isang business, then meron kayong rental, electricity, bills, and salary. Example, 25 lang lahat yun. So, ulitan natin na 25 lang. And then yung 5x will be your variable cost. O x dito, yung product, number of products na gagawin nyo. So, halimbawa, gagawa kayo ng 10 pieces of notebook. So, x is equals to 10. And then itong 5 na to, ito yung magiging cost ng bawat notebook. Parang ganun siya. Okay? So now, we will determine this AC, the average cost, the marginal cost, the average variable cost, and the average fixed cost. Then we will graph the three, AC, MC, and the total cost, or the TC. So solution, we will start of course from the given total cost equals 5x plus 25. And then ang ating average cost dyan, based on the formula in the previous, i-divide lang natin itong total cost natin ng x. So 5x plus 25 divided by x equals, so divide lang bawat term. 5x divide x is 5 plus 25 divide x is just write 25 over x. Ito yung ating average cost. Now, what is our average fixed cost? Of course, ito yung 25 yung fixed cost natin. Then, kunin lang natin ang part na to na yung ating average fixed cost, 25 over x. Based on the formula dun sa ating introduction. Na average fixed cost is just the fixed cost divided by x. So, ito yun. And then, average variable cost, itong 5x naman divided by x. So, yun yun, 5. So, ibig sabihin, itong ating average cost is composed of two. We have the average variable cost and then the average fixed cost. And then ang MC natin, the marginal cost, kunin lang natin ang derivative ng ating TC, derivative of TC which is 5x plus 25. So, itong 5x lang ang may derivative. Derivative of this is 5. Kaya ang ating TC ay 5. Now, for the graph, para hindi na kayo mahirapan na mag-graph talaga, kasi mahirap talaga mag-graph isa-isa manually. Of course, we will make this easier. We will use the FX application doon sa Play Store. So, please, you can download that application. FX, ang tawag dyan. FX o mathematics. So, you can easily graph that. So, eto na. Later on, I will teach you how to do that. So, this is our graph. This red line here is our MC, the marginal cost. This is constant, kaya horizontal line. And this blue line here is the TC, the total cost. So, pataas siya, increasing. And the green line here, itong curve na to, ito yung ating average cost. Sorry class, nagkabaliktad ito ha, nagkabaliktad itong TC at saka AC dito sa taas na nakalagay. So, please, paki-correct na lang. Maggamit tayo ng application sa Play Store. Hanapin lang natin yung app na mathematics. Siyempre, una i-open natin yung Play Store. And then, kung wala pa kayo nito, i-search nyo lang dito sa search box. I-type nyo yung mathematics. And then, search. Click lang dito sa baba. Ayan, sa wakas, lumabas na rin yung mga icons. Kakahintay ko. So, hanapin nyo yung mathematics. Andito sa baba. It's here. This one. Can you see that? Okay, this one. Yan ang mathematics na app na sinasabi ko. So, click and install. Pero dahil na-install ko na sa aking cellphone, so hindi na lalabas yung install dito. Open na lang. So, install nyo lang yan. And then, after that, we will open. So, hanapin ko muna yung icon ko. Nasaan na yung mathematics ko na icon. So, it's here. Ayan. So, open ko lang yan. Ito na siya, yung mathematics na app. So, para sa functions, so just go to dito sa tatlong line dito. Yan ang kanyang menu. And then, lalabas dyan ito. Hanapin nyo lang yung functions. Ito. Click. Ayan. Dahil may na-type na ako dyan na functions, pwedeng tanggalin. So, tanggalin ko muna para makita nyo. Dapat clear ito. Delete. All of this. Delete. Ayan. Clear na. And then, i-add natin yung tatlong functions. Yung nandun sa question, we will grab the AC, MC, and TC. Unahin natin yung ating TC. Pinutin lang yung plus dito. And then, i-type yung ating TC na function, which is 5x plus 25. Pag na-type na, pinutin lang yung check dito sa taas at lalabas to. I-back lang. And then, add uli. Yung pangalawa, i-type natin yung ating MC, which is just equal to 5. And then, check. O, lalabas uli ito. And then, back. I-type yung pangatlo, which is the AC. And that is equal to 5 plus 25 over x. Sa pag-type ng over x, pinutin lang yung divide. 25 divide x. So, automatic magpa-fraction na yan. And then, check. So, i-back ulit. Ngayon, for the graph, i-check natin itong tatlo na to. Pindot lang dito sa box para ma-check siya. After that, punta dito sa tatlong tuldok sa gilid. Pindutin at pindutin yung plot para sa kanyang graph. Ito na. I think masyado itong malaki. We will zoom out. Ayan. So, this is now the graph of the TC, AC, and the MC. For example number 2, we have here this problem. Perform the same analysis using the total cost function TC equals 2x squared minus 8x plus 18. So, solution, like tayo mag-umpisa sa total cost. Ayan, we rewrite it here. And then, for the average cost, i-divide lang natin lahat yan sa x and simplify. So, divide lang x bawat term. 2x squared divide x. So, mag-cancel lang isang x sa taas, 2x na lang. 8x divide x, makancel yung x, kaya 8 na lang, negative. And then 18 over x. So just write 18 over x. Now again, our average fixed cost dito, fixed cost is ito, 18 over x. Yan yung ating fixed kanina, nandun 18 divide x. And then average variable cost, itong 2x minus 8. Ito yung mga x kanina dun sa TC divided by x. So yan yung result niya. So dito yung lang kunin para madali. Ayan, and then ito is done. And then our marginal cost is the derivative of the TC. So derivative nito, 2x squared is 4x minus derivative ng 8x is just negative 8. So nandun. Yan yung ating marginal cost. By the way, class, what is this marginal cost sa economics or sa business? In mathematics, ito yung dagang cost kapag nagdagdag ka ng isang item ng product. So every time you add 1 unit of a product or output ang tawag natin dyan, then yun yung magiging cost ng bawat output na idadagdag mo. Yung tinatawag nating marginal cost. So maybe you can discuss this in your majors, but in mathematics, hanggang dito lang tayo kung paano ito kukunin. So now for the graph, ganun din. Ito yun. So you graph the 3 AC, MC, and TC according to the instruction that we will graph the 3. Itong red, ito yung ating MC, marginal cost. Itong blue is the average cost, and itong green dito is the total cost. So kung napansin nyo, yung green na to is decreasing nga siya dito. Kung nakita yung curve pababa ganyan, ibig sabihin decreasing yung cost, and then biglang nag-increasing doon. Ibig sabihin, pwede lang ito maging total cost function kapag yung x ay mag-umpisa dito sa value na to. If you look down, this is 2. X must be greater than 2 para mag-increasing siya. So, paano mga analysis dito? This one. TC must be increasing. So, here. Hindi ito pwedeng gawing TC, not unless x is greater than or equal to 2. And then, TC of 0 is 18, which is hindi pwede kasi x must be greater than 2 and this is 0. Therefore, it has no economic significance. So in this case, hindi pwede yung ganitong TC, this one, hindi siya pwede. Wala siyang economic significance. Now, let's have this example number 3. Perform the same analysis using the total cost, this one. So, total cost, we divide this by x to get the average cost. So, ito na. Divide each term by x. So, x cubed divide x is x squared na lang. Kaya 1/3 x squared. 2x squared divide x is 2x na lang. 5x divide x is 5. And 2 divide x is wala makakancel. So, 2 over x pa rin. Now, in this part, yung constant kanina ito na yung ating average fixed cost. And then itong 3 terms dito will be our average variable cost. MC is the derivative nito. Ano ba ang derivative nito? So, sinurtcut ko na x squared. Bakit? Ang derivative nito is 1/3 times derivative ng x cube is 3x squared. So, cancel yung 3. Saka yung 1/3 dito. Kaya, x squared na lang. Minus, derivative ng 2x squared is 2 times 2, 4x. So, kaya 4x. Plus, derivative ng 5x is just 5. So, that's it, 5. Ito yung ating marginal cost function. In the graph, ito, again, gamitan nyo lang ng fx application para mag-graph natin. So, ito na yung tatlo. And we have here the note. Cubic functions may be useful as cost functions, but to satisfy the usual characteristics of total cost functions, there must be no relative maximum and minimum in the first quadrant. O yun yung sabi ko kanina. Dito sa first quadrant, just try to look at the total cost function, itong green. So, dapat daw walang relative minimum or maximum. So, tingnan nyo, nagkurbada ito siya. Kung nagkurbada yan siya, nag-curve, maybe there will be, dito sa curve na to, meron siyang relative maximum at dito sa curve na to, relative minimum. Kasi every time na mag-change yung concavity ng isang graph or meron siyang turning point, so yun, nagkakaroon ng ganun. So, number 4 example, for the total cost function, this one, x cubed plus x plus 16, show that at the point of minimum, average cost equals marginal cost. ating total cost function, x cubed plus x plus 16. Kukunin natin yung average cost nito. So, divided by x lang lahat ng yan. So, each term divided by x. X cubed divide x is x squared. X divide x is 1. And 16 divide x is 16 over x. And then, we'll get the derivative of the TC. Derivative ng x cubed is 3x squared. Plus derivative ng x is 1. And then next, kailangan natin kunin yung derivative ng AC dahil ito nga, average cost at the point of the minimum average cost. Kailangan natin hanapin yung minimum average cost. Average cost natin is this one. So, para ma-apply natin yung minimum, we have to get the derivative of this. So, ang derivative nito, ito na. AC prime equals, okay, 2x. Derivative of x squared is 2x. Derivative ng 1 is 0, so wala na yan. Ito, magiging ano yan, 16x to the negative 1. So, pag kinomong derivative niyan, magiging negative. Negative 1 times 16 is negative 16. And then x to the negative 2. And then, simplify natin, magiging negative 16 na lang sa taas. Kasi mapupunta sa denominator yung x squared. Kaya naging ganyan. Derivative nito, 16 over x is negative 16 over x squared. So, I hope you remember that. And then, we also need to get the second derivative nito para ma-test natin ng value na makukuha natin dito ay minimum. So, second derivative test we have here, this one, equals, okay, derivative ng 2x is 2. Derivative nito, negative 16 over x squared is negative 32 over x cubed. So, ganun din ang process, ganun nyo lang din. So, if you want a shortcut, ganito lang ang gawin nyo, class. Imagine itong nasa baba dito na exponent x squared. Exponent dito kasi nasa denominator is negative. So, imagine nyo lang negative yan. Then multiply. So, this become negative 2 times 16. Negative 16 kaya nag-positive 32. So, mag-plus lang kayo ng exponent dyan na 1. So, x to the 3. Ganon. So, shortcut again. How to do that? Okay. This negative here, imagine nyo na negative yan. So, negative 2 times negative 16 here. Kasi negative yung nandyan. Is positive 32. Kaya naging positive. And then, negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. Kung nasa taas siya. Pero ibaba natin balik. Kaya x to the positive 3 na. So, ganon. Shortcut. Yung ating step dati, para makuha natin yung minimum point or maximum point, equate natin sa 0 yung AC first derivative. Ito yun. Ayan. Equate to 0 and solve for x. So, ito 0, transpose this to the other side para maging positive. Kaya 2x equals 16 over x squared. Solve for x. Now, cross multiply. X times x squared is 2x cubed equals 16. Kasi over 1 naman ito, so 16 lang yun. Now, divide both side by 2. So, cancel lang 2 dito. 16 over 2 here is 8. And now, x cubed equals 8. So, ibig sabihin yan, x, okay, kaya natin dagdagan dito is cube root of 8. Cube root of 8 is 2. That's 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Meaning, our x here equals 2. Now, we will test na itong x equals 2 will give the minimum. So, papasok na yung second derivative test. This one. Okay? So, kinuha natin galing doon. Okay, that value. So, i-substitute natin yung 2 dyan para makita natin kung yan ba ay greater than 0 or less than 0. So, a c double prime of 2 equals, substitute lang doon sa x. 2 plus 32 over 2 square is 32 over 4. So, in this test class, you don't have to expand. Tingnan nyo lang kung yung result ba niya ay greater than 0 or less than 0. So, in this case, puro naman positive. So, sure tayo dito na greater than 0 yan. Since this is greater than 0 or positive, ibig sabihin yung x value na nakuha natin dito ay minimum. Pag greater than 0, minimum yung ibibigay niya. So, x equals 2 is a minimum. So, pero hindi pa dyan nagtatapos kasi ang tanong dito is, pagkita natin na yung average cost equals the marginal cost. So, the question is, At the point of minimum, average cost equals marginal cost. So we have to show this. From the previous solution, we have the average cost is equal to x squared plus 1 plus 16 over x. And the marginal cost function equals the derivative of the total cost function, which is 3x squared plus 1. And we have found out that at x equals 2 will give us the minimum value of TC. So let's substitute x equals to these two functions, and let's try to see if they are equal. We have here average cost equals, okay, from this, substitute x equals 2. So 2 squared plus 1 plus 16 over 2 will become 2 squared is 4 plus 1. 16 over 2 is 8, and 4 plus 1 plus 8 equals 13. On the other hand, for the marginal cost, we have 3x squared. So x is 2. 3 times 2 squared, that's 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. So we have proven that AC equals MC here at x equals 2, which is the minimum. Example number 5. The total cost functions for a product is described by the equation TC equals 2500 plus 20x minus x squared plus 0.05x cubed. A. Determine the output level where marginal cost is minimum. B. Determine the output level where variable cost is minimum. And C. Show that at the point of minimum, average variable cost, marginal cost equals average variable cost. So output level here is actually the value of x. What is the value of x? Where marginal cost is minimum. Of course, for letter A, here's the solution. We have to start from the TC, which is equal to this equation. And next, we have to find for the MC, the marginal cost, which is just the derivative of the TC. So the derivative of TC is just equal to this. Derivative of 2500 is 0, so no need to include here. Derivative of 20x is 20 minus derivative of x squared is 2x plus derivative of this 0.05x cubed multiply 3 times 0.05, that is equal to 0.15, then x. Subtract 1 from the exponent, so x squared. And because we need the minimum for marginal cost, so we have to get the derivative of the marginal cost. So derivative of this marginal cost is equal to this one. Derivative of 20 is 0, so no need to include here. Derivative of negative 2x is just negative 2. And derivative of 0.15x squared is this one, 0.3x. Paano nangyari yun? Just multiply 2 times 0.15 is 0.3 and then x. Subtract 1 from that exponent, so 1 na lang yung may iwan. And then equate this to 0 to get the value of x in this derivative. So equate this to 0, so ito na siya. And then solve for x. So ito ang i-transpose natin yung negative 2 sa kabila para maging positive. And we have here 0.3x equals 2. And divide both sides by 0.3 para makancel yung 0.3 dito. So the answer will be 2 divided by 0.3 is 6.67. Now, this is the value of x. We assume that this will give a minimum for the marginal cost. To prove that, we need to use the second derivative test. So we need to get the second derivative of the MC, this one. So this is the first derivative of the marginal cost. And then we will get the derivative of this. Derivative of negative 2 is 0. So no need to include there. Plus derivative of 0.3x is just 0.3. So the derivative is 0.3. It means that there is no x here. So whatever value we substituted from this equation, it is always equal to 0.3. So MC double prime of 6.67 is equal to 0.3, which is always equal to or greater than 0. So pag greater than 0 in our second derivative test, it means that this value, the x here, will give the minimum marginal cost. So x equals 6.67. For letter B, we have to determine the output level where average variable cost is minimum. So we will get the minimum from the average variable cost function. Okay, still the same from the TC. This is the equation of the TC. Then we have to get the variable cost, which is lahat lang na may x dito. 20x minus x squared plus 0.05x cubed. Yan lang yung ating marginal cost. Hindi kasali yung 2,500 dahil yan ay fixed cost. Walang x fixed cost. And then to get the average variable cost, itong variable cost natin, i-divide lang natin ito ng x based on the formula we have in the beginning. So divide all of this or each of the term by x. So 20x divide x is 20 na lang. X cubed divide x is x. 0.05x cubed divide x is 0.05x squared. Babawasan lang ng isang x kasi magka-cancel yun when you divide it into or when you divided this by x. And then after getting this average variable cost function, we need to get the derivative of this to determine para malaman kung ano yung kanyang magiging minimum value. So the derivative of this ABC is ABC prime, which is equal to this one. Derivative of 20 is 0, so we need to write derivative of negative x here. So we have negative 1 plus derivative of this. So just multiply 2 times 0.05 is 0.1. X na lang yung may iwan kasi minus 1 sa exponent. And then, next, we equate this to 0 to see the minimum value of x. Or I mean, to solve the value of x. We have negative 1 plus 0.1x is equal to 0, equate to 0. Okay, transpose these negatives to the other side para maging positive. It will become 0.1x equals 1. And divide both sides by 0.1 para mag-cancel yung 0.1 dito. So x equals 1 divided by 0.1 equals 10. O, gamitan lang ng calculator para madali. So now, x equals 10, supposed to be, it will give the minimum. So, kailangan natin i-prove yan na minimum siya by using the second derivative test. Okay, so kailangan kasi natin ang patunayan na at the second derivative test, it will be greater than 0 para maging minimum siya. So, from the first derivative, this one, ABC prime is negative 1 plus 0.1x. And we get the second derivative. So, ito lang yung may variable, 0.1x. So, ito lang yung magkakaroon ng derivative, which is 0.1. That's why the second derivative equals 0.1. Since walang x dito, meaning kahit ano pang i-substitute natin na values ng x dito, it is always equal to 0.1. So that's why ABC double prime of 10 is equal to 0.1. And this is clearly greater than 0. So pag greater than 0, again, x here, which is equal to 10, will give the minimum average variable cost. Okay, that is for letter B. Now letter C. Show that at the point of minimum, average variable cost, marginal cost equals average variable cost. So, minimum dun sa average variable cost. Okay? So, from our previous formula, we have the ABC. Yung ating average variable cost is this one. And then, when x equals 10, y 10, kasi 10 yung nakuha nating value in this previous one, the minimum value that this ABC or the average variable cost function will give the minimum at x equals 10. So, substitute natin yan dun sa ABC para makita natin na equal sila dun sa MC. So, this is our ABC function. We have 20 minus x plus 0.05x squared. Okay, from the previous yan. We will substitute x equals 10 here because x equals 10 will give the minimum of the TC. So, ABC of 10 equals, okay, palitan lang, 20 minus x is 10 plus 0.05, 10 square. And simplify. 20 minus 10 here is 10. 10 square here is 100 times 0.05 is 5. So, 10 plus 5 is 15. On the other hand, let's check dun sa marginal cost natin. It is 20 minus 2x plus 0.15x squared. We will also substitute x equals 10 here. So MC of 10 equals 20 minus 2 times x, which is 2 times 10 plus 0.15 times 10 squared. That's x squared there. So 10 squared here is 100 times 0.15 is 15 here. So we have here 20 minus 2 times 10 is 20. So 0 na to. 20 minus 20 is 0. Kaya 15 pa rin yung labas niya. So we have shown here that the average variable cost and the marginal cost is equal at the minimum value, which is x equals 10. Yun yung sagot sa letter C. Example number 6. An assembly plant orders X units of product needed in its operation each time that it places an order. The yearly cost of placing orders, maintaining an inventory for the product, and the cost of goods are summed up in the total cost function, this one. TC equals 4,000 plus 4x plus 10,000 over x, where TC here is in pesos. If total yearly cost is to be minimized, how many units to be ordered each time? So we have here the equation for the total cost. We have to minimize this one. And ang question, ano yung magiging value ng x dito para ma-minimize natin itong TC. So, ayan, the solution here, of course, we will get this equation of the TC here. And then, kunin natin yung first derivative dito kasi doon makukuha yung minimum value. So, the derivative of this, TC prime equals 4,000, zero ng derivative niyan. 4x, the derivative of that is 4, minus derivative of 10,000 over x is 10,000 over x squared. So, paano nga ba yung shortcut natin dito? Imagine that x na to class, kapag nilagay natin sa taas, magkakaroon ng negative 1 exponent. So, negative 1 times 10,000 here, kaya naging negative yung sign dito. 10,000 over x squared. X squared yan kasi itong x na to, pag nasa taas yan, mayroon siyang negative 1 exponent. Mag-minus 1 ka sa negative 1, magiging negative 2. And finally, ibabalik mo din sa denominator. Kaya, para magpa-positive siya. So, ito na siya. And then, equate this to 0. Yun ang next step to solve for the value of x. So, 4 minus 10,000 over x squared equals 0. Solve for x. So, since ito yung negative, transpose natin sa kabila para mag-positive. So, we have 4 equals 10,000 over x squared. Next, cross multiply para ma-cancel yung x squared dito. So, 4 times x squared is, ito na, 4x squared equals 10,000 lang dito kasi wala naman kasi denominator yung 4 doon. And next, divide both side by 4 para mawala yung 4 na to dito. So, 10,000 divided 4 is 2,500. That is x squared. Ibig sabihin yan, x is just the square root of 2,500, which is 50. X is 50. So we assume that at x equals 50, the TC will give us the minimum value. So now, we will get the second derivative test para matest natin kung ito ba ay magbibigay sa atin ng minimum. So, from this, rewrite lang natin, kukunin natin yung first derivative test, which is TC prime equals 4 minus 10,000 over x squared. So, ayan, pinakita ko lang kung paano talaga kukunin yung derivative nito. Itaas natin yung x squared, kaya naging x to the negative 2. And then, the derivative of this, of course, derivative of 4 is 0, so wala na yan. And then, derivative of the next term here, we have negative 2 times negative 10,000 is positive 20,000. X to the negative 3, kasi negative 1 here minus 1. Negative 2, I mean, minus 1 is negative 3. And finally, ibalik ulit natin to sa denominator para mag-positive yung exponent. So, this will become 10,000 or, sorry class, mali ito. This is 20,000 over x cubed. So, we have to correct this. This must be 20,000 over x squared. Okay, now we will substitute x equals 50 here para makita natin kung greater than 0 ba or less than. So, TC double prime of 50, this is also 20. 20,000 divided by 50 cube. Papalit natin dito sa x. Hindi natin kailangan i-solve talaga to class. Tingnan nyo lang kung negative ba or positive. So, kita nyo naman, negative, positive yung numerator, positive denominator. So, sigurado, positive ang result niyan or greater than 0. So, if this is greater than 0, the value of x, which is 50, will give us the minimum total cost. So, it means that our answer is x equals 50 units. Example number 7. A rectangular box with a square base is to contain 540 cubic inches. If the top costs 0.90 per square inch of material, the bottom 0.40 pesos, and the sides 0.20, find the dimensions of the box so that cost is a minimum. So, yun. Hinahanapan natin kung ano yung dapat maging dimensions. Pag sila nating dimension, yan yung length ng base ng box, length and width niya times height. Yun na yung kanyang volume. So, ano-ano ang dapat value nun para yung cost dito ay minimum. Solution, okay? So, since this is a word problem, we have to represent some variable here. Let x be the length of the square base, and then h be its height. So, length and width here are equal kasi nga square base. So, x lang. X times x. So, the volume of the box will be from the formula length times width times height. Since ang length natin at saka width ay parehong x, so x times x, kaya x squared times h. And then we know from the given that the volume is equal to 540 cubic inches. So, it means that x squared times h equals 540. And we solve for h here para one variable lang yung ating i-manage dito sa ating magiging formula later. So, from this formula, we have h here. Okay, divide both sides by x squared, kaya h equals 540 over x squared. Okay, balik ko muna sa laser. Ayan. Now, the area of one side of the box dun sa side, kasi alam na natin, no, yung area ng bottom, kasi square nga yon, x square yon. Ito, x square times height. So, x squared there is the area of the bottom, of the bottom, or, tama, bottom of the box. So, the area of one side, yung side natin, yung box, alam na natin, meron siyang 4 sides. So, ang area niyan is just x times height. Yung x kasi yan yung ating length ng bottom natin. So, x times height. So, height is equal to 540 over x squared based on this. So, substitute lang. X times 540 over x squared. Okay, mag-cancel yung isang x dito at saka yung exponent dito. Maging 1 na lang yan. So, the area of one side is 540 over x. Kailangan natin to sa pag-solve ng ating total cost. Now, for the formula of our total cost, kasi meron tayong tatlong value dito, we have here 0.90 pesos para sa top ng material, 0.40 para sa bottom, and 0.20 para sa sides. So, para sa ating top, we have 0.90 times the area of the top, which is x squared, kasi nga square din yon na may side na x, plus area of the bottom is x squared din times the cost, which is 0.40, plus 0.20, the cost of the side times 4, kasi may 4 na side, na may area na ganito, 540 over x. O, dito galing yan. So, simplify lang natin to. Since this is same term or similar term, kasi pareho silang may x squared na variable, so add this, 0.90 plus 0.40 is 1.3 x squared. And then simplify this, 0.20 times 4 times 540 is 432. Copy the denominator over x. Now, from here, ito na yung ating final equation for the total cost. So, we will get the derivative of this. Kasi kailangan natin makuha yan para malaman natin kung ano yung magiging value ng x na magbibigay sa kanya ng minimum value. So, derivative of that one, TC prime, derivative of this, magiging 2 times 1.3, that will be 2.6. X na lang. Kasi minus 1 tayo dun sa exponent. And then, derivative of this, again, kasi nasa baba yung denominator, ang shortcut natin dyan, okay? So, imagine yung negative 1 ng exponent dito, times 432, kaya negative 432 over x squared. O, plus 1 lang sa exponent doon. So, shortcut, itinuro ko na kanina pa, so I hope nakukuha nyo kung paano shortcut yan. Now, the next step, we will equate this TC prime into 0 para makuha natin yung value ng x. So, this equation equals 0. And then, because this is the negative, transpose to the other side para maging positive. So, we have 2.6x equals 432 over x squared. And then, solve for x, cross multiply, okay? 2.6x times x squared is equal to, anyway, sa pag-cross multiply, pwede namang ganito, no? Itong x lang yung multiply natin, shortcut na to, x times x squared is x cubed. And then itong 2.6, gawin nating divisor ng 432. Kaya 432 over 2.6. So, pwede tayo mag-shortcut ng ganito. Okay, again, x times x squared, that's x cubed. And then 432, itong 2.6, tanggalin natin dyan. Ipababa natin dito, 2.6. Just like, parang sabay tayong nag-divide tayo both side by 2.6 at nag-multiply din tayo both side ng x squared para ma-cancel itong x squared at yung 2.6 doon. So, ito yung kanyang resulta. And then now, solve for x here. We know that the x cubed, here, when you solve for x, it will become the cube root of this quantity. So, x equals the cube root of 432 over 2.6. The answer is, just use calculator, 5.498. Pwede rin 5.50. Pero, I decided to retain these 3 decimal places para mas exact yung ating sagot. Now, ito na yung value ng ating x. We will determine kung ito ba ay magbibigay ng minimum or maximum. Hindi pa tayo sure, not unless we will use the second derivative test, which is this one. Okay, so second derivative test is kunin lang natin yung derivative nitong first derivative na to. So, 2.6x, derivative of that is 2.6. Derivative of this, negative 432 over x squared is this one. Again, shortcut natin ha. Imagine again, this is negative 2. Negative 2 times 432 is 846 negative. So, since negative din yan, negative din dito, kaya magpa-positive siya. Over x cubed. Plus 1 sa exponent. Pag nasa baba, ayan, shortcut din. Now, i-substitute natin yung x dito, which is equal to 5.498. So, the TC, double prime of 5.498 is equal to 2.6 plus 846 divided by 5.498 cube. Okay, hindi natin kailangan, again, i-simplify ito dito sa second derivative. Tingnan nyo lang, mukha naman, 2.6 dito. Ito, positive din. So, pag in-add mo yung dalawa, sigurado, positive ang result niyan. So, sigurado na greater than 0. So, thus, therefore, itong ating x na 5.498 will give the minimum cost, total cost. So, that's why x now is equal to 5.498. The dimensions are, yung length natin, at saka width ay pareho, which is equal to x, and that is 5.498 inches. And then yung height natin from the previous, ito yung ating nakuha, 540 over x squared, dito yan. Balik ko muna. Ito, this height equals this. Kasi alam na natin yung x na 5.498, substitute natin dito. So, 540 divided by 5.498 square. Okay, calculator nyo lang din. That's equal to approximately 17.86 inches, our height. Yan yung ating dimensions, yung measures ng mga dimensions natin na length, width, and height. Okay, so this is the final answer. For your assessment, we have here problems, okay, exercises 1 to 7. Just select here 1 from 1 to 3. Okay, 1 to 3. Select 1 from 1 to 3. And then graph the TC, MC, and AC functions together in one set of axes tulad dun sa ating first examples. Of course, determine also the average cost, marginal cost, functions. Huwag na to, huwag nyo nang idagdag yan kasi pwede na yan sa next here. For the next one, from 8 to 10, pili ng isa lang para hindi na kayo masyadong mahirapan. Pili ng isang problem and then answer this. Show that at the point of minimum average, average variable cost equals marginal cost. And last, 13 up to 16. Okay? Problem solving. Pili lang din ng isang problem dyan. Yun lang yung sasagutan nyo. Okay? That's all. Thank you for watching. Good luck and Merry Christmas to all.